Okay guys, after long days I am here with a new here with another chapter of Bipin Chandra, not another chapter actually, Foundation of the National Congress, the reality. In my last lecture I discussed generally what are the causes or what are the different socio-political phenomena or backgrounds that compel to the birth of National Congress. In this lecture I am going to discuss that generally it is said that in initial period Indian National Congress was much more colonialistic in character. They actually emphasized on petition, and they instead of it is generally accused that they actually identified they can in initial period Congress Indian National Congress can be much more identified with colonial character than a reformist or nationalistic character. It is a general accusation towards National Congress in initial period. If you are asked a question in exam, then do you think that during the initial period the Congress had been failed to show a utmost protest against nationalism, or do you think that during the initial period Congress was much more colonialistic in character than nationalistic? Yes, at first you have to give some you have to be balanced in your answer. At first, yes, you have to tell that yes, the Congress during the initial period Congress gave importance much more on a petition. It is some kind of a very lenient, it is some kind of a very lenient approach towards British government in its character. That is why someone says that the Congress was much more tilted towards the colonialism or towards the British government than reformist in its first period. Okay, it is right. Then you see Congress was born in such a period where there was no national idea, where there was no political awareness among common people. It was born in 1885 when there was no germination of political feeling. You see, I am giving you an example. When you come for the first time to prepare for civils, okay, there are lots of students who for the first time comes to Delhi with the dream of becoming a civil servant. At first, have you your mind any idea about what is the syllabus, how to crack the syllabus, what are the different components of the syllabus? At first your mind is generally in most cases empty regarding the civil service, its process and its syllabus. In that moment, gradually, when your teacher teaches, when your guide teaches how to crack the syllabus, how to develop your strategy, how to put your strategy towards these civil services, then gradually your mind actually match up with this process. In that way, the condition was same when Congress was for the first time born in India. The mind of the Indian people was totally void regarding the political activity. Their mind was totally empty regarding political awareness. You see, if you see one thing, you for the first time you come to prepare for civil services, and at this moment if you are asked any question from Bipin Chandra book, and if you are asked any question regarding any other topic, if you are asked any question regarding culture, if you are asked any question that narrate the development of temple style during the Gupta period, if this question was asked to you in your first classes in coaching, then I think you will not be able to give the answer, and the teacher actually generally directly cannot go to teach you that what are the different temple styles developing during the Gupta period. That your teacher must have to go must have to put his step one by one to teach you about the temple style. He cannot directly go to a particular temple style, and in that case Congress was also same. At that moment, people were politically totally unaware what is colonialism, how to protest against colonialism, whether colonialism was good or bad, whether it was beneficial to society or not. These things were the people were totally unaware about these things. In that case, if Congress told the people, like in 1942, if the Congress gave his slogan to the people, "Do or die, come to fight against the British," is it possible? Is it possible for the people to come forward to this moment? No, that because the people were politically unaware. That is why the you have to counter, you have to make your answer balanced, that at this moment the people were politically totally unaware. At this moment the Congress was right in its approach, because at that moment it must have to develop the political awareness step by step, gradually. It cannot give a very ultimate call. It cannot give a ultimate call to the people to jump into the political battle, right? That's why the strategy which the Congress developed to make the people politically aware was quite right and quite strategic in its approach. For example, you see during the initial period of Congress, what are the aspects that Congress did for making the people politically aware? The first thing is the building of a national feeling. The Congress, throughout giving petition or all other activities, lenient processes, Congress actually tried to develop a kind of national feeling in the mind of the people. So building of a national feeling is one of the success of Congress, and which Congress tried to spread, or which Congress tried to germinate in the mind of people. Then after, number 2, common political platform. You see, at initial period, someone also, another criticism regarding Congress was that the Congress did not take the matter of social reform in its agenda in its initial period. Why? It is generally criticized, yes, without social reform, without integrating the people from all sections of society, it is very difficult to make the people nationally dedicated towards a particular and common cause. But there is a reason why Congress did not take up the social reform causes in each moment. See, at first the Congress was very cautious. Congress was very careful not to break its momentum or not to harm the binding anyway. Its main aim was to integrate the people of all sections of society, integrate the people all sections of society, right? But if at that moment, if it took the scourge of social reform movement, what will happen? There will be lots of hue and cry, lots of uproar. There will not be any unity among the existing members. There will be different opinion among different people towards the social reform movement. Okay, that's why at first moment the aim of the Congress was to not to harm the unity among the existing members at any way, or not to showcase the Congress as a movement with disease among people. It is the causes, because if we take the cause of social reform movement, then there will be lots of hue and cry. Okay, and it will divide the people, and it will there is a lot of possibility that the Congress will be divided. Okay. And this is the cause. This is the one of the cause that he did not to take the matter of social reform movement, but because it was a very sensitive matter, and at first the purpose of the Congress was to build up a gradual process of national feeling. You see, when you come for when you write answer for the first time in your first day in public, in your civil service preparation, at first you don't know what is critical analysis. The critical analysis is something which you will develop gradually or develop later. At first your answer is the duty of a teacher will be to show the different structures of a component. You cannot directly go to critical analysis in your answer in the very first day of your civil service preparation. The same thing to Congress. The Congress was very cautious, and Congress wanted to maintain a very unity among the people. Okay, it did not want to go to the difficult matter at first. At first it tried to develop a kind of national feeling and common political platform for the people. And again you see in that development of anti-colonial ideology and strategy, it was a success of Congress. Because you see, I already told you, Congress was born at a time when people were politically unaware. But at that time, Congress directed the people, Congress directed the mind of the people to see that whether colonialism was good to the people or not. In our next lecture, I will discuss that how the economic critique of Congress actually played a great role in this matter in developing an anti-colonialist ideology in the mind of the common people. You see, the time when a people was totally unaware about political platform, about political ideology. In that moment, Congress actually tried to develop a anti-colonial ideology and strategy in the mind of the people, and Congress was quite success in this regard. Though it is said that Congress was actually much more colonialistic in its character initial phase, but examining the factors: building of a national feeling, common political platform, development of anti-colonialism and ideology, Congress was much more advanced, and Congress was much more successful organization at its initial period. Then another matter is that, another criticism is that, if you are asked that whether Congress was democratic in nature or whether Congress was totally colonialistic in nature, when you read the post-independence India, then you will find then you will find another question, that what is the development of Indian national, what is the contribution of Indian national freedom struggle to the making of the constitution? That means how Indian constitution derives the democratic characters right from its freedom struggle. That means what? The Indian National Congress is an integral part of Indian freedom struggle. Then in this answer we have to write that how the Indian National Congress, or how the Indian national movement, or Indian national movement actually assert in a era of democratic rights which have been adopted by the Indian constitution. And you see, in very initial period of the Congress, during its initial period, Congress was those actually took some lazy processes in addressing the grievances of the people, but its nature was quite democratic. For example, you see rotation of Congress session to popularize the national ideology of Congress and to make people politically aware. The Congress session was rotated, means Congress session was not organized in one place, it was organized from different places. After, you see president to a region, except to the region of a session, the president was actually selected from a region where the Congress session was not held, like the governor. You see, governor was now at present, governor is selected from another state, in which state governor is appointed generally. He is not from that state, he is selected from another state. The same character was the Congress president of the Congress. He was not selected from that area where the Congress session is going to be held. What is its purposes? The purposes is that, so that the one thing is that the president cannot president of the Congress cannot involve in the local different turmoil, local disputes of the area. And another thing is that, so that it is very easy for the president of a Congress, it is very easy for a person, if he is appointed as a president in his native place, to interact with the people. But him, the leader of the Congress must have to develop the capacity, or he must have to develop his leadership quality to interact with people, to prepare the people for against colonialism. That is why he was appointed from another person, so that he can develop a tenet to make people aware about the evil tenets of colonialism. That's why another thing is that the aim of the Congress was to build or to form a national leadership for a political struggle in coming future. Another thing is that no resolution without overwhelming support of majority Hindu or Muslim. In 1888, Congress session actually took a resolution, and in this resolution, Congress actually adopted a proposal that no resolution can be passed in Congress session without overwhelming support of majority Hindu or Muslim. Then another democratic clause that is Congress adopted, that then minority clause demanding reform of legislative council. Here it was said that where there was a minority of Hindu, minority of Muslim, minority of Parsi, minority of other religions, the legislative reforms, the legislative council should be reformed in such a way to make this minority represented in a adequate way in the legislative council. Then these are the some purposes, these are the some democratic tenets of the Congress which Congress adopted that period. You see how Congress was advanced, and how can you say that Congress was colonial in its initial period? The Congress which is born in such a very initial period, which is born in such a very no, who is born in such a period where people are politically void in their mind, people are politically unaware. In that moment, Congress actually tried to insert this kind of insert this kind of purposes, so insert such kind of democratic tenets. How can you say that Congress is backward, Congress is colonialism? You have to put these elements in your answer to make your answer balanced. Okay, but that the rotation of the Congress session, president to a reason except to the reason of a session, no resolution without overwhelming support of majority Hindu or Muslim, minority clause demanding reform of legislative council. These are the some democratic tenets which Congress adopted in its initial period. Then another thing is that these democratic tenets actually chase that for especially the last two reasons, last two characters, the no resolution without overwhelming support of majority Hindu or Muslim, minority clause demanding reform of legislative council. It is said that these actually two clauses which Congress actually adopted as in its agenda actually spread or actually for the first time germinated the feeling of communalism, because Congress itself germinated the feeling of colonialism by bringing the clause of minority. It is another criticism. It is actually to some extent true. You have to include these points in your answer to make your balance. While saying that Congress, while saying that in your answer, while writing in your answer that though Congress was tilted towards, though Congress was the process of the initial Congress in its initial period was much more lazy and it is restricted to the petition period, but in keeping in mind the development of political awareness among people, Congress was quite right in its strategy, its purposes and its characters was quite democratic in nature. Then you have to give the points one by one, the what are democratic nature, but you have to also try to criticize it also. Criticize means in a very reformed language that the minority clause or the reforms related to minority which are adopted by the Congress, though it was at this moment the purpose of the Congress was to preserve, to alleviate or to remove the fear of minority, but it actually directly or indirectly spread the sowed or germinated the feeling of communalism during that initial period. Then some another thing is that do you think that the Congress did not give any importance to other political or democratic rights of the people? That Congress is, did you think that Congress fight for any reason, any causes besides political causes? Yes, Congress is very much aware about what is going, what is happening among the people. They were totally aware about the rights of the people. They were totally aware of the democratic rights of the people. This point will also come under the democratic rights, because you see, what did the Congress do? Congress always fought for civil liberty. Civil liberty was an integral part of national movement. Congress always tried to integrate civil liberty as an integral part of national movement. Congress fought for freedom of press and freedom of speech. Congress actually supported the separation of judicial and executive power. These are the some causes which actually made National Congress unique in its approach, and who is actually these are the reasons for which we cannot say that Congress was totally colonialistic in its nature. Congress was much more favorable to colonialistic character in nature, or Congress much more supporting in character towards colonialism. If your answer, if any question come in your exam, that do you think that the Congress in its initial period was tilted much more colonialism in its character, then what you have to write in your answer? In your answer, at first you have to say that yes, the strategy of Congress was restricted to much more petition or developing a gradual process. Okay, developing a gradual process. It was away from any radical reform, or it was away from any speedy reform. But there are some reasons. The reason was that Congress was born in such a period where people were totally unaware about political activity. Whether they don't know that the poverty which they were suffering, it was because of the British policy. Congress was born in such a time. At that moment, it was not possible for Congress to urge the people to fight in a radical way against the colonialism. Their first duty was to build a national feeling in the mind of the people, to make people aware that what is colonialism, how colonialism was invading their life, how colonialism was harming their life, how colonialism was the root causes of the poverty. The first duty of the Congress was to make people aware about these causes, and that after putting forward these reasons, after putting forward these causes towards the people, then only Congress can develop step by step. That is why at first moment Congress was very right in its approach to build a nationalistic feeling among the people, and Congress was also able to build a nationalistic feeling among the mind of the people. Then after that you have to say that Congress was not totally colonialistic in character. Congress Congress adopted different democratic characters. Congress adopted different agenda which is much more democratic in teenage. And after it you have to also criticize that how some of those democratic teenage was actually enough to spread the feeling of anti-colonialism. In this way you have to observe the answer in every possible dimension to get a very maximum marks to in GS paper. Hope this lecture will help you, and after this lecture I will come to discuss another chapter, that economic critique of British colonialism.